Welcome to another episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Today's episode comes from Athens, Greece, and I get to sit down with world-renowned actor Anthony Skordi. Anthony is a true professional in the space. For over 30 years, he has been acting in movies, in plays, television shows. We're gonna find out today what it takes to make it in this industry, how to have a successful financial career being an actor in Hollywood, and what you need to do to always stay ahead. So this is gonna be a fun episode. We're gonna learn a lot. So enjoy this episode starting now. My name is George Stroumboulis, and I'm extremely passionate about traveling the world, meeting new people, and learning about new businesses. Join me as I sit down with other entrepreneurs to learn about their journeys. This episode of Invigorate Your Business starts now. We're sitting in Athens, Greece.
Yep.
Beautiful Athens. We just had a great coffee downstairs. Traffic, people coming by. That's my third coffee of the day. Just landed today.
I have really?
Yeah.
I have like 3 or 4 first thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can't. Back home, it's one coffee, I'm done.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. But in Greece, I need an IV here, and we just keep going.
You just arrived.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
So I got that. I'm glad. I'm actually excited that we're getting the opportunity. We've tried to link up the last few times.
That's right.
You're just busy every time you got new gigs going on, new opportunities. But to kick off the store, to kick this off, I want to read just a little bio, okay?
Okay.
Kind of give the listeners an idea of your accomplishments. You're an actor, you're a great actor, voiceovers, theater, you studied at the best schools in the UK. So I think it's great for the people to understand like your background, what you've studied. And then we'll get into the whole industry and everything, okay? So born in London to Greek Cypriot parents, you've also worked on stage at the Royal National Theatre.
Royal Shakespeare Company.
And the Royal Shakespeare Company. To starring in major productions like Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah.
Right? Days of Our Lives.
Oh, I did one episode.
It was one episode.
Back in the day. Was it Days of Our Lives? It was one of those things.
It was one of those. It's pulling it from there. Call of Duty Vanguard.
I've done I've done a couple of Call of Duties.
Okay. Voicing characters in Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Diablo.
Yes.
Okay. Anthony's voice and presence are instantly recognizable. You have this voice, right? People just know it.
Right.
He's also the writer and performer of the critically acclaimed one-man play Onassis, which we want to hear about, how you embodied that. Showcasing his powerful range as both an actor and a storyteller. Anthony's deep understanding of character, culture, and craft make him a unique figure in the entertainment industry. We're gonna talk about all this stuff because you have an incredible career, right? You've been doing this for how long?
30 years, 20 something, close to 30 years, I guess.
Right. So how does a kid who was born in London to Cypriot parents, right? Cypriot British parents, like how do you even think of becoming an actor?
The quick version is, I was doing a play at around 8 years old at school. And I don't remember that much about it. I do remember a couple of instances in the thing. And I remember my parents coming to see it. And Mr. Wheeler happened to be our teacher at the time. I remember he had long hair. And he called my parents and had a long chat with my parents. I didn't know about what. But it turns out that he told them that I was in the wrong school, that I had to go to stage school. And my parents were like, how dare a teacher say that? You should be, focused on becoming a lawyer or a doctor or something like that. And an actor who's going to be gay or marry a prostitute or something. Budana. Right. And that was my parents' attitude. And but the bug, I was being bitten by the bug at that point.
At what age?
8.
At 8 years old, you knew?
Yeah.
And then from there, were your parents supportive?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. What I did was, I remember it was about 13, 14. I wanted to audition. I thought I'm going to audition for a stage school. And I remember really being taught in biology class that we needed protein and peanuts had protein. So I was buying a packet of peanuts a day for my lunch and saving the money to get enough money to pay for the audition. And I eventually did go in for the audition, and I did what they asked me to. And they said, lovely, we want you. This is at 14. You need to take classes in the summer, dance classes in the summer. But we'll have you. And I went and told my parents there was no way they could afford to send me to this thing. So I ended up going to a weekend thing. And And I went to an audition, and it was for something. And I don't know, Sam, I think it was. I don't remember, actually. I was 14. And the first day of the shoot was the first day of school. And my dad was like, no way, you got to go to school. That comes first. Little did they know, had I taken the job, I would have had a private tutor.
Ouch.
But that was the long and the short of my attempts at becoming an actor as a kid.
Right.
And you want me to continue with the rest?
Yeah, because I want to know, like, the parents, like, at what point did they?
Well, they actually didn't really till they saw me on TV or in a play. I went 24 years old. My dad used to have an ice cream truck. He gave up barbering in the 70s because of the long hair, and he bought an ice cream truck. So in the winter, he was at home. And I was working as an insurance underwriter at the time, wearing silk suits, driving a Triumph Stag, driving, a sports car, And I went to see Dad, and I remember he was sitting in the armchair, and I was sitting in the armchair opposite him in the living room, and he said, out of the blue, he said, I look back at my life. He spoke very good English, Dad. He said, I look back on my life, and I see things that, it moves me just thinking about it now. He said, I see things that I wanted to do and never did them, and it's too late now. I was like, at the time, I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to be in that situation. So I went home, and it was back in the day of making telephone calls. You buy there's a thing called Contacts with all the casting directors, drama schools, and there was like 16, 17 accredited drama schools. And so I called them up, and they sent me an application form and a prospectus, and I filled it out and paid for the auditions, and that's the beginning of me, yeah. And I did all these auditions. Yeah, bearing in mind, I hadn't acted really since that one play I did when I was 7, 8 years old.
So from 8 to 14, it was...
No, not really. I was going to these classes things, but it was just like, it was not really, it was like more like movement kind of stuff, Okay. And so I hadn't really acted, so I don't know what kind of chutzpah, what kind of insanity had taken me over to think that I'd even have some inkling of an opportunity to get into a drama school when there's only 30 places in each one, and there's at least 2,000 applications for each drama school.
Jeez.
So, not being aware of that. So, I went in and did all these auditions and didn't get anywhere. And then I had the one at the drama centre, and it was my last one. And I just fell in love with the school. I fell in love with the way they worked, and they offered me a place, but I didn't get the grant.
Okay.
So the following year, I decided to apply again, but early, and I got into Drama Centre straight away, and this was in January. So we weren't going to be going to school till September. Okay. So I had enough time to try and find the money, I guess. But that's another story in and of itself. So that's just
trying to finance it. Why do you think your dad told you that story of like he never got to do what he wanted? Was he encouraging you to go?
No, I don't. I think it wasn't completely unrelated. I think he was sitting there, in the winter, not being able to sell his ice cream.
Yeah. In London,
just surprising you can sell it in the summer out there, but because of the weather. And I think he was just reminiscing and looking back on his life.
Yeah.
And he was probably then younger than I am now.
Jeez.
And I was just thinking about it. That he was wrong. You can do whatever you want at any time. My dad wanted to be a politician, wanted to be a lawyer. None of that happened.
Right.
For various reasons, but because he came from a middle-class family, but they didn't really send him to school.
Yeah.
He didn't really, how it was back.
Absolutely.
You probably know from, I don't know if Greece was like that, but Cyprus, the Leonesto Demotiko, you finish
elementary?
Elementary, yeah. And then that's it. But he did take English, and he spoke very posh English.
Yeah. Yeah, I always say that about my dad. I'm like, he's the most uneducated, educated man. Like, not from schooling, but these guys always want to learn and do that. But just, even thinking of my dad, like, they didn't get to try to achieve what they wanted to, just because first generation, they had to just sacrifice to do what they want to set it up for us.
Perhaps,
right?
Yeah. I don't think, my dad was single when he went to London.
Okay. So different story then.
Yeah, he was single for like 14 years in London, at least from 46 to the 60s, 14 years. Yeah. So he was
So he had a runway to do what he wanted.
Yeah. But, you come from Lefkonigo, which is it's a bit larger than a village, but it's not quite a town. You go to London where the streets are paved with gold, as they used to say.
Sure.
And you're experiencing stuff that you've never experienced before. More of a liberated place, especially after the war.
Yes.
I'm sure it was better than the 60s were, the wild 60s.
Exactly.
People are just coming back from war and, so I'm sure that shaped the society at the time.
Yeah.
Their attitude towards life and death,
We've known each other through friends, family, in California.
That's right.
Probably over a decade, but
easily. Yeah.
Yeah. But never to the point where I could pick up the call and be like, hey, but last summer, I was at a hotel here in Greece with my family, and one of the general managers was saying how his daughter is going to study in the UK. And right away, I'm thinking of actors in my Rolodex. And I thought of you right away. And I had told him and I showed him your profile and your IMDb.
International Movie Database.
There we go. And I showed him that. And he's like, oh my God, you know him? I'm like, yeah. And I just shot you a note. And I'm like, hey, Anthony, nice to hear from you.
You didn't mention that about the girl, though, did you?
I did. And what you said was just amazing. This really stuck with me. And I just said, hey, I'm sitting here with a friend. His daughter's 16. She got accepted to the school in the UK, Manchester, I don't know, somewhere to go study theater. Are you up for just maybe giving her some advice and tips? And you responded instantly yes, absolutely. As long as a parent is on a call, right? Absolutely. And that just really resonated with me on how quickly you're willing to give advice and help instantly. And again, it's not like you and I have this powerful connection where you're like, oh, you know what? I'll help George out. It was just instant, it sounded like for the art. And then the other thing on just how, hey, absolutely, I'll give any advice, but make sure someone else is there just to make sure that I'm not misguiding or I don't know.
No, because I don't want to be with a young female and a guy, especially in the climate that we are living in now.
Totally.
Without the hashtag Me Too stuff.
Yeah.
I don't need any of that. No, you're going to be okay. Yeah, you never know.
Absolutely.
So I need to make sure my back's covered because I've got a good reputation and I don't intend on losing it.
No, absolutely. So when you look at your whole career, you've done some incredible stuff. And from the outside looking in, unless you're a household name, it's hard in this industry, right? This is not an easy industry that you're in.
No.
Right? It's always... for me, just thinking of it's constant rejection. I would imagine for every 10 roles, 9 are rejected, or maybe it's out of 99. You know what I mean? It's all about rejection. How have you built that over the years and have gotten on these incredible movies and, The Offer and voiceover for Star Wars? How do you keep going back there and have that tenacity? How have you built that muscle over the years?
It's part and parcel for the course. It's you don't go in there expecting to be rejected, but you do kind of do the gig, the audition, and then forget about it, otherwise, unless there are some jobs you can't forget about. You think, I really want this one. So that's when the disappointment kicks in, when you think, oh, I could have done something with this brilliant role. But otherwise, it's I just sent an audition for a new TV show. It was 4 out of 10 episodes, shooting in Miami. And my manager called me up and she's like, oh, they've asked for your package. They've asked for your passport, your details, your blah, blah, your air mile.
Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff. And I think, well, and that was kind of I wasn't disappointed. It was like, oh, that's a bummer. I thought I would have been in Miami till August. But, there's other stuff. There's other stuff that, it was down to me and some other guy to play Onassis in the Maria Callas thing.
Oh, wow.
And they approached me.
The one that came out with Angelina Jolie?
Yeah.
No way. Okay.
Way. Yeah. And they approached me and it was like, before we make the offer to Anthony, could he? Fine. So I sent a photograph. Before we make the offer to Anthony, could he read the script? Fine. Before we make the offer to Anthony, would he audition for us? Would he read for us, And I'm thinking, I played Onassis in the theatre. I've written a one-man play. So he's a guy that I've been living with, and he's been living with me for over 10 years now. So easily, it's 14 years now he's been living with me. And I've done the show everywhere. And the director said to me, Pablo, he said, we won't take long it's just down to you and another guy. And it ended up being going the other way. And there was a big mess because it was announced publicly before I was released.
Oh, geez.
Because I was still on hold. That, I can't take any other jobs, blah, blah, blah. I'm on hold until I hear about this. And then on a Friday, it went public that this Turkish guy, Turkish actor had booked the role. And
was that like Sting double? Twice as...
Well, you know what? I watched it. He's very good. He's very good for what they allowed him to do.
What does that mean?
Well, it's Angelina Jolie's show, isn't it? And I'm sure it's more about Maria Callas than it would be about Onassis. And it's much short. It's way shorter than me, which would have I would have towered over Angelina Jolie anyway.
Onassis was a short guy, though, right?
5'5".
He was 5'5". Okay.
5'6". Yeah.
So then, talk about the one-man show. So 14 years ago, how did you even...
I was doing one of those sitcoms. It might be the one that you mentioned, not sitcoms, but soaps.
Okay, yes.
And I was sitting next to this actor. Oh, no, that's not where I met him. He was one of these General Hospital guys, but I met him on a shoot for a Green Story, some movie that, whatever. And the background actors were rehearsing a dance, and he was sitting next to me. He goes, "Oh, you look like Onassis." I was like, "What? Me? Wasn't he called the Frog or something?" I thought to myself. So that night I went home and I started doing research. And the more research I did, the more curious I became about this man. Because the only I remember being a kid and like an uproar being caused when he was going to marry Jackie.
Right.
Why is he marrying that Budana? Why didn't he marry all this kind of stuff? And that was my only kind of memory of him and about him. And so reading online, I kept ordering books about Onassis, and I was finding a lot of them on eBay used. You can't really find. And I thought, I don't remember. We've always complained about, well, if I was a musician, I could go and busk on the street. Well, I could write one man show. And eventually I read 10 biographies. 10? Yeah.
All because of that comment from that soap opera actor.
Yeah. Theo Penglis, who's a Greek.
Okay.
Australian Greek.
I
think it's General Hospital or Days. Could be Days of LA.
To me, it's all the same shit.
No, they're both really important culturally
My mom
nourishing shows.
Yeah, exactly.
That sell soap powders, Procter & Gamble, or whoever it is. Anyway, I don't know who sponsored them. And within a year of that comment, I'd written it. I did a reading of it in front of 10, 15 actors, directors who I respected and got their feedback, writers, and then honed it down and then and performed it at the Stella Adler on Hollywood Boulevard.
Come on.
For 6 weeks. 6-week run.
So it's literally a one-man show?
Literally, yeah.
A 2-hour show?
Hour and a half. Hour and a half.
So how do you even fill that up? I haven't seen it. I wish, I'd be able to see that. How do you even...
Dr. Chris saw it. You know Dr. Chris?
Dr. Chris, last name?
Oh, I don't remember. He's a Greek too. And his wife, they've got a practice in Riverside.
I don't know. No.
I'm sure your in-laws know.
Yeah. Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. No. Anyways, so one-man show.
Yeah. There's about 17 characters in it.
Come on.
And I play them all, but I play rather briefly. They're not they're fleshed out to an extent, but it's I'll just fall into a character. I'll be
right.
Or I'll be the owner of a shipyard or Marilyn Monroe. Harry.
So that's in the actual play.
Well, I used to change it every night.
Yeah.
Because in one night it could have been Greta Garbo. Okay. So I would change which actress I would decide to.
He had a big Rolodex, right, of women to choose from?
Yeah.
So what did you learn about studying Onassis? For the listener who doesn't know Onassis or knows vaguely, what did you discover? Who was this guy?
Wow. He was a guy that essentially was a refugee from Smyrna. His dad owned a spice shop and was a bank manager. Import and export stuff. Then his dad had 10 ships, but they lost everything when the Turkish invasion happened and they had to leave Asia Minor. They eventually Aristotle spent all his money. There he is. Spent all his money on getting his father out of jail, and his dad was pissed. at him, and he didn't really get on with his father, and he couldn't get to America because the Greeks were undesirables at the time.
Right.
I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah. That's when a lot of Greeks were changing their last names too, right? It was.
I don't know, but he went to Argentina.
Yep.
And that's where he made his first million. So the man had tenacity, he had balls, he was always aiming for the next level. So from a young age, the movie script is different from the play. But he asked for a day off from the school teacher when he was about 14. And he said, "Can we please go to church?" He said to the teacher, "so we can light a candle." I don't remember. It might have been St. Nicholas's, whatever. And the teacher was like, "Yeah, sure." And he'd stolen cigars from his father's store, and they all went to the whorehouse with his pals and sat there with the prostitutes smoking cigars. And he was sick. And he was given medication towards the end of his life, and he wouldn't take it because it interfered with his libido.
Yeah, the guy was an animal, right? Like he was.
People would call him a gangster. His suit would be impeccable in the morning, and by the afternoon it'd be creased and crumpled situation.
Right.
But he was just when he spoke to you, you were the only person that existed. I learned that about him, and I've met very successful people in their fields, including politicians, who that when they speak to you, you feel that way.
Right.
He was a charmer. He wasn't that good looking a man. He was in his younger years. He loved his son. He was but I think he loved women.
Yeah.
He loved women.
And he had a stacked resume. Like he had some pretty big names at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you go through this process and you embody them, like how do you, again, I don't know the different styles of acting, like method versus not. Like when you were on stage, did you really embody that? Like, did you feel like you were?
Someone called me a holistic actor recently.
Holistic, okay.
Holistic. Which is, I don't enjoy auditions that much because I haven't got the time, 2 days, to be able to spiritually, psychologically, physiologically, emotionally connect with this character and take it to that level where I can be the character. Mm-hmm. I can have the thoughts as the character. So I guess, my brain's on fire when I play Onassis. Things could go wrong on stage and you wouldn't, it'd be like, my brain's just firing off. The neurons must change when I'm playing.
In character, almost.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Only once I wasn't in character. And Angelo Tarujas, you know what I'm saying? He was there. I did
Canada's Private there.
I did an off-Broadway production in New York, and he happened to be in New York at the time. And I know Angelo.
Yes.
We've shared cigars because he's a cigar smoker. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. And he happened to be there, but a lot of comedians happened to be in that night as well. But the only time was something went completely wrong. And there's a photograph of it. Someone took it where I've got my hands up to the gods.
Just kind of throwing in the towel?
Yeah, well, almost. And saying, my mother told me not to become an actor. She warned me. I said it out loud, so, but.
See, that alone, like stand-up comedians, theater actors, I guess movies are a little different because you could do retakes, but like to be on stage, one-man show, something doesn't go to plan and you have hundreds of people sitting there, all eyes on you. That just makes me so anxious even thinking of that. Like, do you feed off that?
Yeah, I think I do.
You're mad.
I think I do. There was one from the 2012 production where some people walk in like 15 minutes late. And it's actually on YouTube where, I turn around and actually speak to them because a lot of the show is talking to the audience.
Okay.
Relating to them, feeding off their reaction, their response. And so when these two people came in late, it was like, I stopped. I went, "Excuse me, are you Greek?"
Kind of.
Yeah. And they were like, "Yes." I said, "I thought so."
Right.
I said, like, an hour late is early for a Greek.
That's good.
And it's not something that I thought of. It's just
on the spot.
Yeah. And
kind of like a comedian heckling those who are.
Right, I guess in a way.
In a classy way.
I haven't got anywhere near the ability or talent those guys have. They're just amazing. But when I'm playing Onassis, I can.
You can.
I can. I don't think I'd be able to do it with any other character, but with him, I was able to do that because I was relating to the audience a lot.
Wow.
There was no fourth wall. So you know what a fourth wall is?
No.
So when I'm acting and the cameras are here, then I've got a fourth wall there. Fourth wall. So there might be a painting on there.
Yes.
There may be a door through there, or a window. So it's called a fourth wall.
Okay.
But there was no fourth wall.
Gotcha.
So I was able to cross over to the audience, and then the fourth wall would come back. To create the fourth wall again.
Gotcha.
So it's a wonderful, it takes a lot out of me.
Are you kidding me?
But I love doing it.
So when you do theater, movies, voiceover, acting, right? Am I missing any other mode?
Performance capture.
Yeah. Okay, so basically 4 elements like that? Ish?
Well, yeah. They don't differentiate in the UK, whereas they do in the US.
Okay. But so you studied and honed in your skills in the UK, right? Before you went international. Not knowing the industry, the UK to me just seems more intelligent when it comes to theater, or more advanced, or highbrow. I don't know. Like the UK has this image where it's like theater is like, that's where Shakespeare maybe. Is that why I'm thinking of that maybe? Perhaps.
And Johnson and Marlowe and all these other writers who exist around Shakespeare's time. But what I have to remember is that the tradition of theatre does come from here, Greece.
Yes.
This is where it all started from,
yes.
And we have these wonderful amphitheatres to this day, which is just amazing, the sound quality of those places. But having said that, the UK started off doing plays. Their plays were like everyman, so they were more religious based. So there'd be a cart would go into the village on a holiday, and they'll do the first scene, and it will travel off to the next town, next village, and then Act 2 would come on another cart, and they do the play there, and they were called Everyman, Anger, whatever. And then after that, just before Shakespeare's name started coming in, and so it was more based in the word. And Shakespeare played a lot with words. He invented like 1,700 words, whatever, new words.
You just added "eth" to the end of everything?
No. And so then we look at the US. And the US, the history comes from the silent, the silent movies. So the silent movies are not based in the word, they're based in action.
I got you. Yep.
So I think that's why and then when the talkies came in, it was still based on action. It's like when you look at one of those action, like, I don't know, movies, the driving ones, whatever they are, Furious, whatever they are. I look at them and I think that sometimes, because a script is a minute a page, so you're looking at 120 minutes, 120 pages. I'm thinking those scripts must be real thin because all the action that's going on, and having to write that stuff must be kind of daunting. So anyway, so that's why I think there's more reverence, as it were, in the Royal Shakespeare, the National Theatre Company. There's more of a tradition in theatre, whereas in the US it stems from the movies. Okay,
so that's a great breakdown there.
Yeah.
Are you seeing a lot like seasoned, trained actor, right? Like you can different roles, different styles, everything. Yeah. And then nowadays you see certain people who are just famous through social media that get roles. Do you see that a lot where this person's famous, we throw them in this role? Like, how do actual trained actors perceive that?
I don't, well, it's hardly my age group that's going to be it's going to influence my career. And not only that, but the characters that I play are iconic characters usually, and they're characters.
Right.
They're real life people, some of them, and so therefore it takes the ability to be able to, which is what I was trained in, to create a character, right? Organically, holistically, and put it on set, on stage, or wherever, and have people come. I was doing a movie called, I forgot what it's called. It was called, the working title was Last Dollar. It's a Western that was shot in Tucson, and a year and a half ago. And I'm picked up by a producer from Tucson Airport, from New York, talking like that, one of the producers. So I'm sitting next. Where I know you from? I said, I don't know, man. No, I know you from somewhere. I said, I really don't know. I'm an actor. I work in Hollywood. You may have seen me on something. No, man. I know you something. He goes, what was the last thing you watched? I said to him. He said to me, The Offer. I've seen it 3 times. I went, oh, okay, that's where you know me from. I play Carlo Gambino. No way, no fucking way, no way. Yeah. I thought they picked up a Sicilian actor from Italy and just put him in the thing. And that is for what I strive for.
What a compliment though, right?
Yeah,
from an actual fan.
Absolutely.
But to play Carlo Gambino in The Offer, just talk about that. Did that just catapult your career?
Well, catapult is a extreme. I think one of my mentors is a guy called Michael Ironside, who's a very well-known Canadian actor who works in the US from Toronto.
There we go.
And he was saying to me, this is your first job in Hollywood. I said, what? Dude, I've done 70, 80 gigs before this. It's like, yeah, no, but no one's taken a risk on you the way that Paramount Studios have right now. You know, and like, I think there was some truth in that because I recently did a Law and Order organized crime. I went to New York and Brooklyn and shot that, did a couple of episodes.
I mean, that's an iconic show.
I don't know. But anyway, September, I know Law and Order are.
Yeah.
You know, Dick Wolf for his show is amazing. And I remember being, was the second episode I was on. And I went from one stage to another and I walked through, they took me and I had to wait for pickup shots. And this woman who was working on the set came up to me and said, oh, everyone's whispering Carlo Gambino from The Offer's on set. You know, I went, oh, I'm just a regular guy, man. And I just realized how blessed I am to be working my chosen field. You know, there's like, I don't know how to translate the word sonata.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, I'm just so blessed. And one thing that my mentor, Michael, has taught me is to remain humble and grateful, and I think that served me well.
Yeah, absolutely. When these people are coming up and saying, I know you from The Offer, do you embrace it? Are you like back off? Like, how do you react?
Only once I remember I was in Echo Park. You know Echo Park, Silver Lake?
Yes.
On Hollywood Boulevard. And I was walking down the road and people were like looking at me and smiling and nodding and I had no idea why. I thought my fly's down or something. So I called a friend of mine up and I was like, dude, Dawn, she's one of my closest friends, Dawn. I called her up. I said, Dawn, everyone's staring at me. What's going on? I was like, she goes, dude, you were just on The Offer. What's wrong with you? I went, oh, okay.
Did you not realize like how big it got?
No. No. I'm not sure if it has got as big as, I thought I would have wanted it to because it's on Paramount and I'm not sure. But having said that, there's that Mobland that's on right now that everyone's watching all over the world. So, but that's got Pierce Brosnan in it and Tom Hardy.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And those two guys were all not the same time. Yeah. They were at Drama Center as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tom Hardy,
and Pierce Brosnan. So, I love it. I embrace it. These people watch the shows, which is why I get work, why I'm working and getting paid for it. Only once I couldn't speak to somebody and I could tell he wanted to speak to me, but I was in a conversation with somebody else in the Groucho Club in London. And it was the rap party for this movie I did out there called,
you've done a lot when it's like, I had this other movie, this movie.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's Rise of the Foot Soldier movie, Vengeance. Rise of the Foot Soldier, Vengeance. And I was talking with these people and I was like, I could see, and his girlfriend was like, no, come on. And I could see he wanted to talk to me. Right. And I felt really bad that I couldn't at the time. So no, it's important to me. And I was with an actor friend of mine in LA and we were on Sunset Boulevard on a Saturday and someone yelled through the car window, his character name from the show. Right. And he was like, fuck off. And I was like, dude.
Jeez. People take it serious, right?
Dude, these guys are your fans. They watch you. You got a job because these people are watching you. Under normal circumstances, if we weren't being paid and we were pretending to be somebody else, we'd be locked up.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I'm grateful for the people who watch it. And I on Twitter, X and on Facebook and
Yep.
on what's that other platform?
Instagram, yeah.
I'm engaging with the people. I'm
Yeah, and
engaged with people.
it's got to be great that they have instant access to you as much as you want to put out there on social, right?
Well, I look at Ricky Gervais and I go, oh, he's responded to one of my, tweets too. And I'm like, oh, I get thrilled about that.
Yeah, Ricky's a legend. Yeah, and he's a legend. Yeah.
And so I have to think to myself, okay, I'm not him, but to some of those people, I am.
Absolutely.
I am in the sense of especially the Star Wars Battlefront 2 thing.
Talk to us about that. So that was a voiceover?
Yeah, performance capture.
But did they render it? So it was an animation? No,
it's computer generated.
Yeah, okay. Because it looks real, like the clips that I've seen.
And that's from 2016 technology.
Wow.
So it's 9-year-old technology. And I've done several games since then. Performance capture, namely the one that's coming out in August the 8th. I can't wait. The Mafia game.
The Mafia game, that's what it's called?
It's called Mafia the Old Country. It's the 4th installment, but they've gone prequel. So it was performance capture where...
what does that mean when you say performance capture?
They catch my performance, including my voice, my movements, everything that I do is recorded.
And then they put it on a skin and they're able to manipulate it?
Well, from there on in, I don't know.
You signed it away and whatever.
Well, yeah, they'll do I remember when we did that show, they don't do that anymore. I had to grimace this to all these faces so they could and they put dots on all over our faces. I
saw that on your socials when you were going through that.
Yeah. Right, and some machines, some engines don't need that now.
Okay.
So, you don't have to go through all that rigmarole of having to put all that stuff on because that's an hour, at least an hour out of your day just for them to put those, which isn't that long in the grand, scheme of things.
That's incredible.
So, yeah.
And the Star Wars, it's just, that's an iconic.
Right. Well, I wasn't a Star Wars fan.
You were or were not?
No.
Yeah, same. I couldn't tell you. I think I've seen one of the old one with whoever it was.
Right.
But I feel like I'm one of the only people that is not into Star Wars.
Well, me, I wasn't either.
That's crazy.
I wasn't either. And I booked the gig and it was I was on a major role at the time. I did a TV series in Britain, The Blacklist. I did Criminal Minds. I did The Last Ship. And then I got, all back to back to back.
Jeez.
And then, you think it's never going to stop, but it does for a bit. And then I booked this and I had no idea. And I got this script and it was like this because they've got alternate. If this happens, then this dialogue is said. If this happens, then this scene. I was like, God, that's too much for me. Right. And I'm at the table read. Right, a table read is going to be an hour and a half, 2 hours. This was the whole, morning and a whole day. And I remember reading something, and we went on a break, so I quickly went out, and I called my friend who happened to be staying with me, Steve Mouzakis from Australia, an actor. Okay. Wonderful actor. He was in Prison Break, the reboot. And I said, dude, what's a Death Star? I didn't know what a Death Star was. So he explained to me what a Death Star was. So, and thank God for Tom, the director, because such a wonderful man and director. But he pulled out, he got what he wanted. Right. And it's a bind to put all that stuff on. It's like a wetsuit, and then you wear this rig, which is about $40,000 each one of these things, and you can't I smoke. Don't smoke, kids. It's not good for you. If you smoke, they're lose the, dude, there's cameras and microphones on this.
It's blowing smoke everywhere. Yeah. At least you're not vaping. I was telling someone the other day, they were talking about, I'm vaping now. I'm like, you're better off smoking than vaping. I don't know.
I'm not going to take part in that conversation.
Yeah. I'm just saying, at least you have a filter versus the other thing.
What is it? It's like, switching from heroin to methadone. Is that what it is?
The better of both evils, but.
I don't know. They're saying right now, and I don't want to get sued for libel, but it's causing popcorn lung, which can't be reversed. And I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, anyway. That's what I've been hearing, but kids don't do any of that. There you go. That's the lesson for everyone.
There you go.
But hold on. So Star Wars, back to...
and it didn't do well when it first came out because there was this major controversy about these loot boxes, which you had to pay for them. So everyone turned against EA. So the game didn't really take off.
Gotcha.
And suddenly, last week, I'm seeing all this stuff on Star Wars. What's going on here?
May the fourth be with you.
Well, that must be when it took off. But last week I had a look and I went, my IMDb jumped up only jumped up 6,000, but it went, for me, that's a big difference. And I was like, what's going on? And realized that and then I started reading reports that so many people have gone to Star Wars and new people, and then I'm looking and I'm reading an article and it's going, and Anthony Skordi says, oh, no, what did I go and say now?
Oh, geez.
But it wasn't. It was because all the fans are trying to get the actors to say, we want a Star Wars Battlefront 3.
Oh, okay. Isn't that crazy, though, how maybe at the time it wasn't the results you wanted, but then a few years later it pops? Amazing.
But I think, there were enough movies that have been creepers, haven't there?
Yeah, oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you, like movies in general, have you been part of anything where you're like, dude, I wasn't proud of that. I wasn't proud of my performance. Are you a big critic of yourself? Like anytime something comes out, or are you just like, hey, got paid, on to the next?
Craig Ferguson. I don't know if you know who that is. No. He had the Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
Oh, yeah, the British guy.
Scottish, yeah.
Oh, Scottish, okay.
Yeah, that's British. But some Scots wouldn't agree with that. But and he said to me, Tony, just remember this. If you put something on celluloid, everyone is going to see it at some point. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Craig said, it's like...
someone's going to see it at some point.
Everyone's going to see it at some point.
Everyone's going to see it at some point, yeah. So basically, when you hear that, is it just, do you try to take roles that you really... Like, I always wonder this. In the acting world, I feel like there's so many different actors and types of actors, and it's a tough industry. When you get an offer, in general, do people actually negotiate their rates? Or is it like, cool, I got another job, this month's busy, let's take it and keep going? Like, how does that work?
I have an agent who negotiates.
So there is like back and forth and, okay.
Yeah. There's a show that I called The Last Frontier, which is going to come out October 12th on Apple TV. Really looking forward to it. Some great names in it. And I remember I had a phone call from the showrunner saying, Tony, let's talk about it. I said, dude, I don't think they've closed the deal yet. He went, oh shit, sorry. And he put the phone down. And then that was on a Monday. And then on Wednesday, the deal was done.
Gotcha. Okay.
And, so we were able to speak freely about it.
Congrats, man. It sounds like you.
That was a straight offer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have a lot of input, or your agent's the one that's like going
financially?
Yeah. Like, are there roles?
I don't want to talk about figures, but I was in bed. It was like 3:00 in the morning, and then my phone went off, and it was my manager and my agent.
Okay.
It was a 3-way call.
That could either be really good news or really bad news.
Well, right? They're not going to call me 3:00 for it. And it was like, they've made, you've got the offer for this thing, and they're offering blah, 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 blah. And I went, great. And she was, but I think we're going to ask for more. And I was like, okay.
And you're good. Like, you trust them like that.
Well, I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. I mean, I'm paying 20% out. 10% to an agent, 10% to a manager.
Is that wow? So 1/5 goes out the door,
dude.
So what?
I paid taxes to Quebec last year.
Jeez.
And the Quebec takes more taxes than the rest of Canada. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Quebec is a higher HST. You have to pay that. Yeah. Oh, it's
And I'm like, dude, I don't get any services from the country at all. Moreover, I pay a tourist tax when I'm there.
That's not fair.
No.
Right?
So we'll see. I'm speaking to my CPA tomorrow.
Yeah. So any good CPAs out there in Montreal or Toronto?
Well, she used to work for the IRS. So that's good. And she's got a pal who works in Montreal who's a CPA as well.
So you're locked in.
So, well, hopefully.
You got the right people.
It was a fair chunk.
Jeez.
It was a fair chunk.
So what else, if you are fortunate enough to have the longevity and become a successful actor, like what are...
You're asking me if I'm...
Yeah, so for advice for listeners, right? Like you are, but for someone out there who, wants to get to that, I can't imagine how hard it is, like decades of being in this and building a resume, right? What are other fees, maintenance, stuff that people don't expect? So like you have an agent and a manager, there's 20%. Is there any other fees that are typical?
Any other expenses?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
Aside from upkeep, physical and all that.
Well, no, also I pay my union dues.
Okay.
I pay to get photographs done. I pay to have them put up on Actors Access, on Spotlight in the UK. I pay for the platform in the UK. So, I've got to keep myself looking, presentable.
Right.
So, yeah, there are other expenses apart from the emotional.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Emotional ones, yeah. But I think, I'm not sure if that was the real question.
This is where I want to get with advice, right? So there's younger people listening that want to get into acting or have started, and it's a grind. Like, where do you start? If you have someone in the States right now, let's just talk about the USA, and they're interested in being in movies, and it's a broad statement, like, where would you guide if it was your son or daughter? Like, how would you guide them to get started in this space?
To go and get training.
Training.
Yeah, I think that's the most important thing.
But like, where do you even find that? Because I feel like everyone and their mother could try to scam you, or it could be the wrong school. Like, what's
you have Yale, you have conservatories. So I would suggest a conservatory with a broad training. I was trained in classical theatre and style of theatre as well. So if you can play classical guitar, you can play anything. Is I guess what that's about.
Gotcha.
People can train in the UK if they so wish, but everything, the drama schools are closing down. They've been taken over by universities, so they've become more academic in the UK. And I'm sure to some extent that the US, I'm not that aware of, I don't know that much about the training.
Sure.
I know people go take classes 2 nights a week or 2 days a week or whatever. I don't know how useful that is.
Do you do is there such things as lessons right now, or are you?
Well, funny you should say that. My first stint in LA, I went to, I shouldn't say because they're very famous actors who have got this one school. And I went there to audit the class, and they asked to see my resume after the class was over. And he looked at it and he said to me, how to create characters. Here in the US, they just want to be able to play themselves. He said, please promise me you'll never take a class.
Oh, wow. So don't ruin your approach, basically. Yeah. Jeez.
But that was, that's LA, and LA is a different, different beast.
Did you follow a lot of the mafia movies in that, like preparing for the Gambino role?
No, none.
None. So you were never into like Scarface or Casino?
No, I saw those movies when they first came out, and on Amazon, I own The Godfather.
Yeah.
I don't want to emulate somebody else's performance. I think the most important thing for me was studying. I've seen a lot of the gangster movies, is the answer to your question. But I had so much history to read about the Gambino family, the Lucchese, the 5 families,
yes,
and how they all came up. And so I had a lot to work with, and a lot was said about Gambino. That he looks like a kindly old grandfather.
Yeah.
So all that stuff, and he spoke with an accent and all that. So I don't think I want to create something true, believable, and organic. And I don't think if I'm watching somebody else's performance, I don't think that's going to happen. I'll watch it after the event.
Okay, so then how Carlo Gambino is a real figure, a real person. Wasn't he John Gotti worked for the Gambino family, I believe, right? It was John Gotti worked essentially for Carlo Gambino.
Yeah, Sammy the Bull as well.
Sammy the Bull Gravano, yeah.
Yeah, I met Sammy.
Okay, so
I went to Arizona.
Yeah, he's hiding out there, but he's not, right?
He's what now?
He's like hiding in Arizona, but
he's not hiding. He's no. But long story short, there is in the works a story. His story going to be done for one of the streaming, one of the cable shows.
Yes. It's him. He has a big podcast, right, for the last few years.
Yeah, I did it. I was on it.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's why I went out to Phoenix.
Okay, yeah, he's got that, and I think his daughter's involved with that as well.
She's one of the producers, yeah.
Yes. And then who's the other guy that doesn't talk with him now?
Michael.
Francesi.
Yeah.
Francesi.
It's funny, he's funny because he was talking about all the actors that have played Gambino. He's talking about not all the actors that played Gambino. He talked about, that was another thing. He was talking about, what the mafia guys are like. And in his podcast, and suddenly I'm up there as Gambino, I was like, dude, this is weird.
That's so.
I'll send it to you if I find it.
So this is great. Let's do some name dropping. Out of all these years, no, you can't.
Go on.
Who's been some of the greatest actors that you had high expectations like before meeting them and working with them, and then after working with them, it was like it confirmed that yes, they were great or not. Like, are there any actors that truly impressed you building into it, working with them?
I think the most the better, the more famous the actor, the nicer he is.
True.
Yeah.
Why is that?
They haven't got anything to prove anymore.
Okay, so they try to help like the up and comers or people.
No, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. I'm talking about either working with them or in a social situation. I mean, I worked with Clooney. He directed me in Catch-22 in Rome, and I went to the premiere in Man's Chinese Theatre and walked the red carpet there with Courtney Love in front of me and Matt Damon behind me, you know. And he was just such a regular, lovely guy. And he was on set as well. I mean, he knows he's George Clooney, don't get me wrong, but he's such a lovely guy. Right. As is Tony Hopkins. That's Anthony Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins, okay.
Yeah, who's such a lovely guy as well. And like, you know, there's this one story that I have, and is, tell me that story, Tony. Tell me that story. So I'll tell him every time I see him.
You can't share it with us, huh?
No, it's to do with Drama Centre, and he was one of the governors. And at the end of the second year, I made a decision to change my name. And the principal, Christopher Fettes, God rest his soul, I love that man dearly, who gave me my training. He said, what are you going to call yourself? And I went, there was a poster behind him, and I went, it was Uncle Vanya, played by Anthony Hopkins. And I went, Anthony. I went, okay, we'll call you Anthony. You know, after Anthony Hopkins from that poster.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he loves hearing that story.
Okay, I mean, that's got to be a good ego boost for him, right?
I don't know. He's the last person to have an ego from what I know of him.
Right. So all these years in Hollywood, like during that whole Me Too movement and all, can Hollywood be as seedy and crooked as it is, or is that just like any industry?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person, you know. You're asking the wrong person, and like attracts like, you know. If you're an asshole, I guess you're going to attract assholes in your life. If you're a decent guy, you attract. I don't know. I don't know. I'd be surprised if the industry remains in Hollywood the way things are going.
Right.
You know, and there's so much stuff going on right now with people in jail and like, facing court cases.
Oh, yeah. And now Trump announced tariffs on movies produced.
100%.
100%.
So tariffs, I don't think that's going to happen.
How do you even account for that?
Well, easy. If I spent $1 million, then your tariff's going to be $1 million to bring it back to the US.
But like just from an accounting standpoint, like I hired the lighting guy, the grip guy, like how do you even...
Well, there's an overall budget, isn't there?
Okay. So they're just going to do that in taxes.
That's not going to happen.
That's crazy.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're already leaving outside of Hollywood with all these other places.
Well, I mean, you know, Gavin Newsom, why there's a 330 million or something like that money that you can claim back from up to, and like you've got places like they don't have a cap on it. And why is it? Is it because there's like, well, we don't care. The studios are here. The business has been here forever. They're not going to go anywhere else. Well, guess what? They are.
Oh, yeah. And a lot of them, I read this morning, a lot of the studios are just empty and they're hosting bar mitzvahs and just to keep them busy. Yeah.
I had no idea.
All these sound stages.
My manager said to me, you left at the right time. So, you know, and I'm working in the States and Canada. I'm still doing those jobs right now. I mean, I'm better known in the US by the industry folk than I am in the UK.
Right.
So I was like, proximity to the UK. I thought, I'll be working a lot more in London.
Okay.
But that hasn't happened.
So a couple more questions. You've been amazing with the time, I know, but...
Dude, I'm talking about me. Of course I'm going to...
This is amazing, right? What are some roles? Like, what's a dream role that you still have? Like, in my career, this is what I want to do. Is there a dream role? Is there a dream...
The role that's going to bring me the Oscar.
Exactly. Is the Oscar even something you're aspiring to? Is that what every actor naturally wants?
I don't know. I don't know if that's the yardstick. The role that I would the role that I really want to play on TV, on film, hasn't been written yet, or is being written right now, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
You know, whereas it's not like, oh, I want to play King Lear. at some point in my career, you know. And so that's different. I'd say, yeah, I do want to play King Lear. I want to experience that king, you know, and the madness he goes through and ends up, you know, basically a destroyed pauper, as it were. You know, that is a part that interests me. But as you grow older and have more life experiences, the parts that you could have played, you're not going to play anymore. Like Hamlet, I'm never going to play Romeo. You know, not that I ever could, but you know.
Why do you say you could? You never could. Like, why? What does that mean?
Well, I don't think. I don't know. That's not fair. I was just being. No, maybe I could have. I don't know.
Right.
I could have. I don't know. But like, you know, I always looked at the roles like the meanies, as it were. Edmund from Lear and Aaron from what's that? Where he cooks, he bakes the children in a pie. Anyway,
Hansel and Gretel?
No, Shakespeare play.
Oh, Shakespeare. You're talking to the wrong. Yeah. I hated studying Shakespeare in school. I was the worst.
Really?
Oh my God.
See, I was a Brixton kid, a guy from Brixton, which is like, I'm from Watts.
Okay.
I'm like from, you know, Crenshaw.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of like the area I was raised in London. So, you know, going seeing Shakespeare and, you know, my first job almost straight out of drama school was at the Royal Shakespeare Company. So it was like, you know, what am I doing here? Like, I'll talk Lord 8. I shouldn't be here. Yeah.
Athens. I just want to talk about Athens here. Born in London, lived in the States, lived in the UK, lived in Cyprus, been on TV in Cyprus. You've done everything.
Yeah, I guess.
Why has Athens become your home base while you're still, like you would say, hey, maybe I'm retiring. You're still flying back to the States.
Well, no, my career's only just taken off in the last 2 years.
Hold on. After 30 years, you're saying like the last 2 years has been?
Since 21.
Since 21.
Yeah. So an overnight success in Hollywood takes at least 10 years. So I was in Hollywood for 10 years before the offer was made to me for the offer.
Oh, 10 years. In those 10 years, how many times did you want to quit?
Oh, God. I'd hit my knees and pray and say, God, just show me what it is I'm supposed to be doing, you know. And like, if you've given me this ability, this gift, how am I supposed to use it? Tell me, show me, you know. And there was moments of desperation, the moments of not knowing if I was going to make rent. And like, I remember for a week, I had to eat an apple and a spoonful of peanut butter for a whole week in order to have enough money to pay the rent at the end of the month.
Jeez.
You know, and like...
And even during that, Anthony, you're still like, I'm just waiting for my break? Is that even when you're eating that?
It's not, but no, I'm not, you see, that's odd. I guess people call it a break, but I'm not waiting for a break. I think I'm looking on getting a job, which is going to get the next job, which is going to get the next job. Right. You know, I did a thing with Kevin Spacey and I'm thinking, well, that's it. You know, everyone's going to know who I am and I'll be working nonstop. That didn't happen. Right. You know, I worked with, started playing leads on guest star roles. I was pretty lucky because I did one role for men of a certain age. And I was paid as a co-star, but it was actually a guest star. And then from there on in, it was guest star roles. It wasn't like, you know, The Messenger. It wasn't like one-liners. It was like decent roles. So, you know, because I had the experience, worked in Cyprus, drama school and everything. So it was easier for me. And like, I had to say to my reps, like, please do not put me up for, you know, one-liners. Well, you're not going to get many auditions. I don't care, because once you hit a level, it's like we're talking about upgrading on a flight. Right. You know, once you hit a level, then, you know, it's hard enough to get to the next level. So imagine, you know, to pull yourself out of that level, right, to go to the next level up. So I'd rather go from guest star to recur series regular than go from co-star and struggle to get out of that thing. It's like it's like being a background actor is tough to get out of that and start, you know, acting. You get trapped in that. I think, you know, the addicted to a salary, to wages, to money. You get addicted to being able to afford to pay for your rent.
Oh, absolutely. There's two things. So I read today the average hourly rate for an actor in the United States. Again, we're taking big salaries and we're taking people who are doing that, is $23 an hour. So like if you were to take it That's what it averages out to. Don't know how true that is, but if you...
I don't know how they figured that.
I don't know how they figured it out, but Joe Rogan, I heard on one of his podcasts, he said, the guy's worth $100 million now, right?
Sure.
And he was a stand-up comic struggling in LA I think he's from Boston. And he talks about money, and he goes, the biggest satisfaction in his whole life from talking about money wasn't getting that $100 million contract. It was when his sitcom got picked up. It was something like that, and he made $100,000. And he went from multiple people in his apartment, couldn't make rent, eating crackers, like basically what you're saying. And the joy of getting that 100,000, he goes, my mindset totally shifted in that I'm rich. I have $100,000. I don't have to worry about rent for the next while. And it's just interesting, right? Because it's a constant grind, right? And once you're able to hit that level, nobody wants to go back, you know?
Yeah, no, I think about that sometimes when I see some actors who are like were successful. It's like, well, what are they doing now? They are working somewhere, most of them, you know, quietly on some show somewhere, some hour show on. There's so many outlets right now, so you know, that people can work on. There's more work now than there's ever been, but there seems to be more. Like 98%, it used to be 95% of the union was out of work at any one time, and the last few years it's been 98% is out of work.
Come on.
Yeah, apparently. And average wage is $5,000 a year.
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. When you said 23.
Yeah, per hour. So these people have multiple jobs then. How do you survive?
It's like, I'm an actor. Oh yeah, which restaurant do you work at?
Exactly. Yeah. I lived in New York City, and a lot of the people at the restaurants, acting, waiter, and you know that's the gig, right? Until it breaks. I mean, to see that and to be doing this for 3 decades.
Almost, yeah.
Almost. And to say, you know, in the last 5 years is taking off, that's incredible. So like anyone listening who's going through anything, it's like either persevere, change, right? Like there's lesson there for sure.
You know, yeah, for sure. But there's no, you know, I have no plan B. I never had a plan B.
It's it. You were going to be an actor.
Yeah. And I think it's dangerous to say it to somebody, but I knew from when I was at drama school that I had the charisma, I had the gift, I had the ability, and it was just a matter of time for people to see it and recognize it, you know. And first I was just playing the Greek roles. And a friend of mine who works for Disney ABC said to me, look, you know, slowly you're going to move out of just playing Greek roles. You're going to, who's the actor that plays all the Greeks? And then it's going to be, who's the actor that plays all the Greeks and the Italians? And it's like, Anthony Skordi, you know, and that's how it goes. And people have got to learn. And, you know, it's like people are sitting around a table discussing who could play that role. And it's like, if like by some blessing, some wind blows my name into someone's mind, then I go, why didn't we think of him? And so there's all that involved in it.
So you're okay, like that's called typecasting? Is that the definition of typecasting? Like when someone plays a certain role all the time, or that
yeah,
type?
That's typecasting. That's typecasting, yeah.
So sorry, are you saying they think of you for those types of roles?
No, I'm saying they'll sit around a table and it has to be some kind of miracle for my name to come up. And they'll go, why didn't I think of that?
Gotcha, okay.
And I've seen it happen on a movie, and someone said, well, what about Anthony Skordi? And he was like, I can't say what the text back responded was, why didn't we think of him in the first place? Was, you know.
Gotcha.
You know, but, you know, people are taking risks on me now, giving me, you know, straight offers. And it's like, they're not sure what they're going to get.
But doesn't the Gambino role speak for itself? Like that was a risk by Paramount and you crushed it.
They saw the audition.
Yeah.
They saw the audition. So, you know, if at best they got what I did in the audition, they would have been happy.
Exactly.
But I did, you know, I gave them more than that because I had 2 months to work on the role before I went on set.
Right.
I had 2 months to work on this, 2 months to work on the accent. We had rehearsals. You know, I got to work with Giovanni Ribisi and like Miles. Let's see all, you know, work, you know, be in the same room with all these, you know, super talented people, you know.
Do you ever have what's it called? Not imposter syndrome, but when you're in a room with all this talent, do you feel like I belong there? Or is it sometimes like...
I think, shit, you'd have to ask me on the day. I can't really look back, and the amount of work that I've done on the role or any role come to that, is my stability. You know, I know how to work, and I know how to repeat what I need to repeat, and I know also how to leave myself alone.
Sure.
And let, you know, whatever magic happens, if it happens, happen. You know, I guess I'd rather be bad than boring, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess I make definite choices. And if it's the wrong choice, you know, I'll be told.
Right.
You know, I remember one time I was working with the director, David Caffrey, on a British thing. Tennyson, Prime Suspect, 1973. And he said to me, why don't you do it like this? And I was like, shit, why didn't I think of that? He goes, that's what I'm here for, you know? We
started the podcast talking about your parents.
Yeah.
Right? I want to end the podcast just kind of looping. You had mentioned at like 14, you got this gig and it was on the first day of school. Fast forward now, you know, God bless your mother. She's in her late 90s, right?
She's 96.
She's 96. Yeah. So from 8 years old when you first saw that till now, has she seen the moment where she's like, I'm proud that he got into acting? Like she's got to experience like all this stuff that you've been in?
I think, yeah, no, not all of it. But being on Cypriot TV was like, you know, they were like, you know, right. You know, my dad said, I walked into the bank today and the bank teller said, oh, you related to the actor Anthony Skordi? And he said, it's my son.
It's my son, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like, you know, there are life lessons, and we have to live life in order to have those lessons. And sometimes we make mistakes.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure how they feel about it. And I'm thinking that's the way it's supposed to be, because if it was supposed to be different, it would have been.
Exactly.
It would have been different. You know, it's like Morgan Freeman said, now that I'm making all this money, I'm too old to enjoy it the way I enjoyed it back in the day.
Yeah.
You know.
Now what are you going to do with it all, right?
Yeah.
How can the listeners stay in contact?
My telephone number's...
exactly. The social security number is...
Oh, darn. I'm trying to open a bank account here, man. It's
forget it.
Tough. God, anyway.
Something so simple too, right? Yeah. That's on the next episode. We're going to talk about...
But they were like, the bank manager was, why do you want a bank account? I was like, what? I said, I need to pay my rent, you know?
Under the mattress, cash. Let's go.
It's been like that for a year and a half.
Right.
You know? How to stay in touch with me? Well, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Twitter and I'm on, it's called X now, isn't it?
It's X, yeah.
Yeah, but you know, how do you can't re-X, can you? Or retweet or you know. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Yep.
And I was just so surprised, this Battlefront 2, how it's just taken off with Facebook.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, Facebook's just, you know, for old folk.
Wow, they like Battlefront, right?
Well, they're not old. I got a fan from Texas who's a retired cop in his 70s. Who's a gamer.
Okay, so he gets it.
Yeah. Anthony Skordi on Instagram, Anthony Skordi on Facebook, and Anthony Skordi on X.
Yeah, Skordi. And we're going to put up all the links. This is great, man. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Keep rocking it, man.
Yeah. And one question I don't think I answered fully about being in Athens is that I've discovered over the last year and a half that I can 2 years, well, actually 24 years, 4 years that I can live here and work over there. And plus the proximity to Cyprus, which is where my mother's at.
Yeah.
It's just easy to go and see her. And Athens is so easy to get in and out of to anywhere else in Europe and to Asia and back to the US.
It really is.
Yeah. From Cyprus, I couldn't do that.
Exactly.
So I just really thought about it. I thought about Portugal. I thought about so many different places in Europe. And I thought, well, you love Greece. You've been going there since you've been, in your 20s. You love the food.
Oh my God.
I love the vibe.
Yeah, everything. What's the dating scene like here?
Oh, mate, I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know?
No. Oh no. Oh, God. I think back in the day, confirmed bachelor meant you were. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I think that's what I am, It's because I don't, it's just a tough old situation.
But here though, you have nomads, expats, locals? Like Athens is...
I don't drink, right?
Okay.
So that kind of limits the places that I don't go and hang out in bars,
Yep.
And if I go out, I'll be with pals, we'll go to a taverna, we'll go, I don't go out drinking, I don't go out to nightclubs. And I think, I wouldn't want to find a woman in a nightclub anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe. Forget about it. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not condemning people who do that.
Right.
It's just that I don't drink. I've been sober, clean and sober for almost 16 and a half years.
16 and a half years.
Yeah, I haven't had a drink or a...
Do you miss it?
See, here's the thing. I can think things through right now. My head's clear enough.
Yep.
That I go to its natural conclusion, and the answer is no, I don't miss it.
Yeah, you don't miss it.
No.
But like, it was like, even to have a casual drink, it's no casual drink. You want to have more. Is that?
I'll take the first drink, and then the drink takes me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how it goes.
Yeah, I get it.
And I think there's so many. There are 3,000 AA meetings a week in the inner Los Angeles area.
3,000.
3,000. Wherever you are in Los Angeles, you throw a stone, you'll hit 5 meetings.
Yeah.
Here, there's not that many.
I had someone on the podcast last week back in California, and he was talking about AA meetings and being sober and everything. And he was just talking about how ego, when he became famous, just his ego took over, and then he just started exploring with stuff. And
he wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't.
Before, no, he wasn't. But with the fame, and he got this show and all this stuff, it took him there. And he knew, like, once that happened, he's like, we got a problem here. And then lost everything, reset. And again, he's sober and then crushing it. So it's like, you love hearing the good side of that.
Yeah. Pete, I remember being in a meeting in Hollywood, and I've got 2 sobrieties. And the first sobriety, Pete Townsend said to me, Tony, you're supposed to make it before you fuck it up. What did I say that in the meeting that prompted him to say that? But there's a lot of it in LA. There's a lot of disappointment. There's a lot of heartbreak. People, I've known people taking themselves out. Yeah. From disappointment.
Oh my God. You go there with all expectations and this and dreams, and a fraction of a fraction actually make it, right?
Right. But, when you go to the table to gamble, you go there, you make sure the odds are in your favor.
Right.
You've got the training, you have everything that you're armed with everything that you need, to make a go of it. And, going for a year is not going to cut it. Right. You've got to be there for the long term.
Did that help you get roles or be in the scene when you're going out and partying and doing whatever substances? Like, did that help just being in the mix?
No. I mean, I remember being in the Viper room back in the day when Johnny Depp and what's his name, Leonardo DiCaprio and all those people were in there. Like wearing baseball caps and cocaine out there, right? Like we all were. You know what I mean? At the time, I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't help. See, when the camera's rolling, you're guaranteeing like $100,000 a day minimum is going. I don't want to put some drug addict, alcoholic up in front of a camera, right? Who's going to cost me money. I need someone who's reliable, who's going to show up on time, who's going to show up prepared, and it's not going to cause me any trouble. When they run their hands over the cast list, make sure there's no bumps over your name. That's great advice.
But you have to get burned a lot of times to realize that, no?
No, not for me.
Okay. So what made you want to say, I'm done, I'm stopping, I'm getting...
6 LAPD division cops came to my front door with,
That'll do it.
It's like, I had no idea why. So that was the beginning of my road to sobriety. And then you see people like Aerosmith, Pete Townsend, Tony Hopkins, all these names, those ones I've mentioned because they don't hide that they're sober. Eric Clapton doesn't hide that he's sober. All these people, you may see, Robin Williams, right. He only went to 1 or 2 meetings, but Craig Ferguson was my sponsor, which is how I know Craig.
No way.
And I met, other people from his show. I'd go and his guests with it. So, there's a lot of, Tony's got to have like 50 years sobriety right now, Tony Hopkins. Yeah.
It's a serious thing, man. Yeah, it's amazing. Really quick, Craig Ferguson, he took over for Conan. Was it the Conan show he took over for? The Late Late Show, right? After Leno, I think that was, I used to watch him. I don't think he had great ratings though. He had a few years.
Oh, they still play clips of him.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah.
That British humor.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. This was great.
Good. I'm glad.
Thank you so much, man.
You're welcome, dude.
We're going to grab
Good man.
You too, my brother. You too. Thanks for listening to this episode of Invigorate Your Business with George Stroumboulis. Please hit the subscribe and like buttons and follow me on all the main podcast streaming channels. Also, please share your comments when you can. I appreciate your help in expanding this network to a worldwide audience. Until next time, stay invigorated.